My grandfather once told me something that confused me for many years. He said, saving money is not enough. At the time, I didn't understand what he meant. Everywhere I looked, people were repeating the same advice. Save your money, put it aside, protect it for the future. Saving sounded responsible. It sounded wise. But my grandfather would only smile and say, saving keeps you safe for a moment. Growing money changes your life. For a long time, those words meant nothing to me until I met a man named Thomas. Thomas lived in a small house near the edge of town. He was a quiet man who worked at a local warehouse loading boxes onto trucks. The work was hard, the hours were long, and the pay was modest. But Thomas had one habit he was very proud of. Every week, when he received his paycheck, he placed a portion of it into a metal box he kept in his closet. He called it his future fund. At first, it was only a few dollars. Then it became a stack of bills. Month after month, Thomas added more money to that box. Whenever friends talked about spending on new clothes, vacations, or expensive dinners, Thomas would shake his head proudly. I don't waste money, he would say. I save it. The metal box slowly became heavy. Every time Thomas opened it, he felt a sense of security. The money inside made him feel safe. Years passed. The box became full. But strangely, Thomas's life looked almost exactly the same as before. He still worked the same long hours. He still worried about bills. He still felt tired at the end of every week. One afternoon, after finishing work, Thomas stopped at a small park near his house. He sat on a wooden bench and opened the metal box, counting the money inside once again. An older man who had been feeding birds nearby walked over and sat beside him. "That looks important," the old man said. Thomas smiled proudly. "It's my savings. I've been building it for years." The old man nodded. "That's good. Saving shows discipline." Thomas leaned back comfortably. "Exactly. I'm preparing for the future." The old man looked at the box for a moment and asked a simple question. "And what will the money do while it waits?" Thomas frowned. "What do you mean?" The old man picked up a small seed from the ground and held it in his palm. "If I keep this seed in my hand forever, it will remain a seed." He pointed toward a nearby tree. "But if I plant it, it becomes something much larger." Thomas stared at the seed quietly. The old man continued, "Money is very similar. If it only sits in a box, it stays the same. But if you plant it in something productive, it begins to grow." Thomas looked down at the metal box again. For the first time, he realized something he had never considered before. All those years, he had been protecting his money, but he had never given it the chance to do anything. It was safe, but it was also still. That night, Thomas sat at his kitchen table thinking. He looked at the metal box again. Then he began writing ideas on a piece of paper. A small vending machine business, selling coffee near the warehouse, buying tools, and offering repair services in the neighborhood. The ideas were simple, but they were seeds. A week later, Thomas used part of his savings to buy a small coffee cart. Every morning before his shift began, he stood near the entrance of the warehouse, selling coffee to workers arriving for the day. At first, the earnings were small, but they were new, different, because the money no longer came only from his labor. Now, it also came from something he had built. Over time, the cart paid for itself. Then it paid for another. Slowly, the metal box in his closet stopped being a place where money slept. Instead, it became a place where money was sent out to work. Years later, Thomas sat on the same park bench again, but this time he no longer carried the metal box. He carried something far more valuable: freedom. And whenever someone asked him the secret to changing his life, he would say something very simple. Saving money protects you for a while, but growing money changes everything. If this story gave you something to think about, subscribe to Old Wisdom for more quiet lessons about life, choices, and the paths we take.